James Nightsky could hear the old beat-up truck's engine from well over a mile away as it chugged along the single beat-up old highway headed back to their hidden camp. Nick, Dean, and John had been gone longer than usual, but that was probably because Kevin had taken a bullet when they'd last been to civilization. It didn't kill him, since the shooter had no idea of his true nature, and the need for that bullet to be silver. Still, Nightsky, called Night by his pack, had chosen to keep him home on this run, to ensure it didn't happen again. He had to be hard on his pack sometimes, but for the most part, they understood this. Without him, they would be a disorganized band of leftover werewolves, being displaced in the Adirondack foothills over the years, as mine after mine shut down, leaving none of them with a convenient place to hide among the humans there. To be sure, there must be plenty of their kind hidden among humans in the modern cities, and it probably would have been kinder if Night had sent the bulk of his pack to live among them as well. But he had a vision, and he needed the others to help him fulfill it. He truly believed that werewolves could thrive without depending on the humans. Yet more and more, as Nick and his team brought in stories of new technology, he began to wonder if he was right. Maybe he was looking at things the wrong way. Maybe it wasn't that he should send his people to the technology, but rather that it should somehow be brought to them. With that in mind, he had sent a letter with Nick to present to Julian Hunter, whom he knew to be a just and capable leader from the days when the pack leader had taken in his mother. He'd been quite young when this happened, so he remembered no home beforehand, and all he had was the fond memories of the time he spent there. If anyone would know how to help, it was sure to be Julian. "Lord Nightsky, Nick's brought outsiders to the pack!" exclaimed Amos Little as he ran inside the cabin where Night was waiting. The smallish man wrung his hands uncertainly. "Is he even allowed to do that?" "What do you mean, outsiders?" asked Night, his temper rising to cancel out his shock. Didn't Nick know how dangerous it would be to reveal their camp to someone else? Night stormed out with his hands on his hips and headed for the drop-off point, ready to head him off at the pass before he brought whoever was with him any closer to their home. Nick, as it turns out, was helping out the most beautiful female he'd ever seen. Long, golden brown hair fell halfway to her knees, and her eyes were a lovely cerulean blue. Night knew by the smell of her that she was wolf-born, and not some woman he'd decided to turn. He could also smell that she was unmated, and that fact tore at his loins for a moment, before he remembered that she was not supposed to be there. Firming his resolve, he stepped up to Nick with a heavy frown. "A word, Nick?" he asked tersely. "Let me explain, my lord," said Nick nervously. "The young lady and her two companions are in answer to the letter you sent for Julian. This man is Rick Collins. He is supposed to know everything there is to know about building things. This man is Boris Heinrich, and he's come to help us out with better medical information and such. The girl is his assistant, Miss Chastity Fayre. She's been sent to teach us first aid, among other things. I do believe Boris has been entrusted with a few other ideas he's meant to impart to you alone. But we might want to save that for later, since I'm sure everyone will be wanting to eat soon." "Yes, you're right about that, at least," Knight agreed. "Well, there's no sense being offended by such a thoughtful gift, so I will forgive you this time. But in the future, I expect you to use that cell phone I gave you for something besides an ornament." "I'll try to remember next time, my lord," he said with a bow, and took Knight's hand to kiss the wolf's head ring that he wore on his pinky. That practice had taken a while for Knight to get used to, but the pack had insisted upon including it for the sake of ceremony, to indicate business was complete